The story begins in a quiet village in the countryside of Bangkok, Thailand, where two French nationals, a father and son named Largo and Nome, are on a vacation that also serves as a pilgrimage to the grave of Largo's late wife. It was revealed that Largo's wife, a Thai national, had passed away several years earlier due to drowning. During their stay, Largo and Nome were helping Largo's father-in-law repair a water pump for the local villagers. However, they encountered a problem. The pump wouldn't lock properly. Determined to fix it, Nome turned to YouTube tutorials for guidance, ignoring his father's advice to work together to find a solution. Apparently, Nome often clashed with his father due to their different perspectives, but despite this, Largo deeply loved his son. Witnessing the tension between father and son, the grandfather stepped in and advised Nome to listen to his father. Reluctantly, Nome complied. Later, while visiting his mother's grave, another argument erupted between Nome and Largo. Nome expressed his desire to stay longer in his mother's hometown, but Largo firmly reminded him that their life was in Paris and their vacation had come to an end. Frustrated, Nome stormed off, unaware that a mysterious man on a nearby hill had been watching them. Suddenly, a scream pierced the air. It was Nome crying for help. In response, Largo rushed to his son's aid, only to be intercepted by a barrage of gunfire from a group of masked men sent by the mysterious observer. The assailants managed to kidnap Nome. Largo, skilled in combat, hurled a knife, striking one of the masked riders. He then seized the attacker's motorcycle and gave chase. A tense pursuit ensued through the forest. At one moment, Largo managed to knock one of the kidnappers off their vehicle, but the others continued to fire at him. Despite the odds, Largo fought his way onto their car, engaging in a fierce struggle. He eventually overpowered the kidnappers and rescued Nome, but the car plunged into a river. Surviving the crash, Largo frantically searched for Nome, who had been swept away by the current. Desperately, he called out for his son. Meanwhile, the mysterious man continued to observe from a distance. As he watched Largo, the leader of the kidnappers approached him, demanding payment for the job. Displeased with the botched operation, the mysterious man, unfazed by the gunshot wounds inflicted on him, coldly executed the kidnapper. 3 weeks later, Largo, exhausted and battered, continued to search the river and forest for any sign of Nome. His strength finally gave out, and he collapsed unconscious by the riverbank. It was then revealed that Largo was no ordinary man. He was a billionaire genius and the heir to the Wing Power Group, a massive conglomerate founded by his late father. The company, headquartered in France, specialized in technology, mining, and banking. After the harrowing events that had unfolded, Largo made the decision to relocate the headquarters of his business to Bangkok, Thailand. His primary goal was to continue searching for Nome, whose whereabouts remained a mystery. One day, after finishing his workout, Largo's assistant, Chloe, approached him with an update. She informed him that she had installed facial recognition technology around the area where Nome had disappeared, hoping it would lead to a breakthrough. Not long after, Largo demonstrated his company's latest innovation, a state-of-the-art aircraft constructed entirely from recycled materials. During the presentation, Largo revealed to the world that this groundbreaking idea had been inspired by the genius mind of his son, Nome, who had always been deeply concerned about environmental sustainability. However, as the demonstration was underway, their virtual event was abruptly interrupted by a video call from Dennis, the head of one of Wing Power's subsidiaries. Dennis launched into a furious protest against Largo, condemning the massive layoffs that had been carried out by the company. The call ended in shock as Dennis did the unthinkable live on camera, in front of everyone watching. Shortly after this tragic incident, Largo received a panicked phone call from Nome, pleading for help. Without hesitation, Largo instructed Chloe to trace the call's location. But before she could make progress, the voice on the other end changed. A kidnapper, calm and composed, informed Largo that Nome was safe for now. Largo, his voice firm and commanding, warned the kidnapper that there would be severe consequences if any harm came to his son. The kidnapper, unfazed, countered with a chilling threat. If Largo failed to follow instructions, Nome's life would be in grave danger. The call ended abruptly, leaving Largo in a state of tense desperation. In a chilling twist, the scene shifted to reveal Dennis, the man who had done the unthinkable during the video call, lying lifeless beside the kidnapper. It was clear that this was no ordinary kidnapping. There was a deeper, more sinister plot at play. Meanwhile, chaos erupted among Wing Power's employees. Mass protests broke out as workers demonstrated against the company's decisions, fueled by the tragic incident involving Dennis. The unrest was palpable, and the tension within the company was reaching a boiling point. Amidst the turmoil, Largo attended a critical meeting with his executive team. During the meeting, Julius, a senior executive, appeared via video call on a large screen. He reported that the financial statements following a recent acquisition looked exceptionally strong. However, Largo immediately called out the report as manipulated and demanded to know who was responsible for its falsification. One of the attendees mentioned a man named Steve Mundro from Ottawa, but added that Mundro had gone missing and that the situation had already been reported to the authorities. Largo then revealed that Dennis had tried to contact him before his death. However, another attendee interjected, stating that Dennis had never reached out to the group again and had stopped responding to all communications. When someone suggested that Wing Power should be shut down immediately, Largo firmly rejected the idea. At that moment, Largo firmly asserted that shutting down Wing Power would result in thousands of employees losing their jobs and devastate the economy of an entire province. The next scene showed Largo driving to Dennis's residence. Upon arrival, he rang the doorbell, but there was no response. With no other option, Largo entered the house. In one of the rooms, he discovered dried bloodstains, hinting at Dennis's presence at some point. With no other option, Largo opened Dennis's laptop and began searching for crucial files. The atmosphere grew tense when a mysterious woman suddenly appeared, pointing a gun at Largo. The woman was Helene, the late Dennis's wife. At that moment, Helene accused Largo of being complicit in the problems plaguing Wing Power. However, Largo calmly explained that he was fighting to save the company and rescue his son, who had been kidnapped. After hearing his explanation, Helene lowered her gun. She revealed that Mundro had never been transparent about the company's accounting, and Dennis had blindly trusted him without further scrutiny. Helene also disclosed that Mundro had engaged in suspicious transactions with a supplier based in Burma, which sold large quantities of copper and cobalt. However, the goods were never delivered. It was revealed that Mundro had manipulated the company's inventory and drained its cash reserves. When Largo asked for the name of the company, Helene revealed it was called Laguna. But before she could elaborate further, a mysterious man emerged from behind and struck Helene, rendering her unconscious. The scene shifted to a fierce struggle between Largo and the mysterious man. During the fight, Largo was electrocuted and collapsed beside Helene. With her remaining strength, Helene whispered to Largo about the Laguna company before losing consciousness completely. The mysterious man then played an audio recording of Nome pleading for help, further enraging Largo. However, the sound of approaching police sirens forced the man to flee, leaving Largo unconscious once more. The scene then transitioned to a monitor screen in a meeting room where Wing Power's executives, including Chloe, Largo's secretary, were gathered. The screen displayed a report that the police had arrested Largo on suspicion of Helene's murder. Chloe looked visibly shocked, and the atmosphere in the room grew tense. Meanwhile, in his jail cell, Largo found himself sharing the space with a mysterious young woman. The girl, who seemed accustomed to the jail environment, pulled out a hidden backup phone from her pocket and began a live broadcast on her Instagram account. During the broadcast, she openly documented Largo's condition in the cell. However, Largo swiftly snatched the phone from her and used it to try calling one of his associates. Returning to the Wing Power meeting room, where Chloe is seen leading a discussion with the company's executives. One of the individuals Largo tried to call, a man named Cochran, was present in the meeting but did not answer the call as he was deeply engaged in the discussion. The executives debated the impact of the crisis on the company and brainstormed potential solutions. During the meeting, Cochran proposed activating Trigger Code 51. Some members questioned the decision, but Cochran argued that the situation created by Largo had left them with no other choice. After a brief debate, everyone present eventually agreed to proceed with the plan. The scene then shifted back to the jail, where an officer informed the young woman that her case would be severe. Unfazed, the girl casually mocked the officer, provoking his anger. The officer, losing his temper, opened her cell with the intention of attacking her. However, Largo quickly intervened, warning the officer that the girl's phone was live-streaming the entire incident. The officer cautiously approached Largo, but Largo managed to overpower him, rendering him unconscious. Largo then instructed the girl to retrieve the keys from the unconscious officer. Together, they escaped the cell and made their way to a small window at the back of the jail. Using their agility, Largo and the girl successfully slipped through and fled the scene. Once outside, the girl quickly deflated the tires of a police car parked in front of the jail. Moments later, Largo and the girl then used a roof box cover as a makeshift sled to slide down to a lower level. By the time the police realized the escape, they were delayed by the flat tires, giving Largo and the girl enough time to get away. As they fled, a mysterious man suddenly appeared, driving a snowmobile, initiating a thrilling chase across the snowy terrain. However, from the opposite direction, an unidentified vehicle abruptly appeared, blocking their path. Largo and the girl managed to swerve out of harm's way, but the mysterious man wasn't as fortunate. Realizing there was no other escape route, Largo decided to stop and confront the man. A fierce hand-to-hand fight ensued, with Largo showcasing his combat skills. However, the mysterious man gained the upper hand, using an electric shock device to incapacitate Largo for the second time. Just as the situation seemed dire, the girl took action, striking the mysterious man with a powerful blow that sent him tumbling into a deep ravine. The scene transitioned to Largo's private jet, where he called his secretary, Chloe, requesting more information about Laguna, a Chinese-based company operating in Burma. Meanwhile, the mysterious man, who had survived the earlier incident, was seen at an airbase speaking to someone over the phone. During the call, it was revealed that the girl, whose name was Bonnie, had used her social media presence to share shocking testimonies that helped restore Largo's public image. Upon learning this, the mysterious man decided to head to Bangkok. Back at Wing Power's headquarters, Cochran handed documents to Chloe, instructing her to disseminate the information. Chloe refused, arguing that there was no need to remove Largo from the company since his reputation had been successfully restored thanks to Bonnie's testimonies. The scene then shifted to Bangkok, where Largo and Bonnie boarded a boat, heading toward a location that had been significant earlier in the story. There, Largo met his father-in-law, Arun, and the two exchanged words before heading to Arun's house. Meanwhile, at Wing Power's headquarters, the mysterious man is seen entering the building to confront Cochran. In a tense confrontation, the mysterious man shot one of Cochran's associates, Rudy Gassner, who had been speaking with him. He then forced Cochran to write a statement claiming responsibility for Rudy's murder. When Cochran refused to continue writing, the mysterious man threatened him by showing a photo of his daughter, Emily, who would become the next target if he didn't comply. On the other hand, Chloe informed Largo about what she had uncovered regarding the Laguna company. She explained that Cao Shun was the owner of the company. Upon hearing this, Largo immediately decided to head to Cao Shun's location by boat. During the journey, Chloe showed Largo news of the deaths of two of their top executives. In a flashback, the story delved into the past of Ezio, the mysterious man who had become Largo's nemesis. The flashback showed a young Ezio accompanying his father as they protested against the policies of Largo's father. It was revealed that one of Largo's father's inventions had caused Ezio's father to develop a condition that made him unable to feel pain, a trait that was passed down to Ezio. The confrontation escalated, and Ezio's father pointed a gun at Largo's father. However, the attempt was thwarted by Largo's father's bodyguard. Ironically, the gun fell into the hands of young Ezio, who accidentally shot his own father while being restrained by Largo. In the present, Largo, Chloe, and Bonnie were seen disguising themselves as immigrants to infiltrate Cao Shun's compound. They began asking workers about Nome's whereabouts, but no one seemed to know anything. Elsewhere, Chloe hacked into the CCTV system to search for clues about Nome. At the same time, a soldier yelled at a sick child who was working slowly. Largo quickly intervened, incapacitating the soldier and taking the child to the workers' shelter. While Chloe was hacking the CCTV, she was suddenly held at gunpoint by a mysterious man. To her surprise, it was Ezio, who, as it turned out, shared a complicated past with her. At that moment, Ezio asked if they were going to proceed with the plan. Chloe, growing weary of the conflict, suggested they take Cao Shen's money and end everything. However, Ezio ordered Chloe to stick to the plan, including arranging a meeting between Largo and Cao Shen. Returning to Largo, who asked Bonnie to look after the child while he went to confront Cao Shen. Before Largo left, Chloe gave him crucial information. She had spotted someone resembling Nome on the CCTV system. With a hint of guilt, Chloe warned Largo that this could be a trap. Nevertheless, Largo set off without saying a word. At the same time, Chloe tried to warn Ezio over the phone, urging him not to kill Largo. However, Chloe was suddenly struck from behind by Bonnie, who had discovered her betrayal. Meanwhile, Largo finally met Cao Shen, who handed him a ledger detailing the company's sales. After Largo read through it, Cao Shen explained that he too had been deceived by one of Largo's subsidiaries. Largo then demanded to know the whereabouts of his son Nome. Instead of answering, Cao Shen and his guards burst into laughter. Seizing the moment of their distraction, Largo launched an attack, incapacitating Cao Shen's guards and threatening Cao Shen to reveal Nome's location. Under pressure, Cao Shen finally disclosed the location before passing out. However, when Largo arrived at the spot, he found not Nome, but a stranger he didn't recognize. Suddenly, Ezio appeared from behind, pointing a gun at Largo. Ezio coldly told Largo to accept the reality that Nome had died, swept away by the river's current on the day of his kidnapping. Ezio then ordered Cao Shen to retrieve a hard drive from his safe. However, Cao Shen seized the opportunity to attempt to shoot Ezio. Before he could succeed, Largo stopped him by throwing a knife, knocking him out. Ezio revealed that the hard drive contained all of Wing Power's transactions, converted into cryptocurrency to conceal massive corruption. Just then, a shocking turn of events unfolded as a construction truck, driven by Chloe, crashed into the building where they were standing. Largo used the chaos to attack Ezio, and a fierce battle ensued. Amid the commotion, soldiers from the compound arrived and began firing at them, forcing Largo and Ezio to flee. Suddenly, the soldiers were ambushed from behind by Chloe, who incapacitated them. Moments later, Largo caught up with Ezio, and another brutal fight broke out. Chloe urged Largo to let Ezio go, but Largo, consumed by despair over the betrayals and tragedies he had endured, refused to back down. In the struggle, both men fell from a great height. Ironically, Chloe was thrown onto a hard surface, while Bonnie fell into a pool of water. Seeing Bonnie struggling in the water, Largo rushed to save her. Largo managed to pull Bonnie out of the water, ensuring she was safe. Before succumbing to her injuries, Chloe told Largo to use Ezio's electric device to shock Bonnie back to consciousness. Following her instructions, Largo revived Bonnie. At the same time, Ezio had somehow escaped. Sometime later, the scene shifted to a Wing Power building. Bonnie was now working as Largo's new secretary, symbolizing the trust and partnership they had built. In the film's closing moments, a serene temple was shown, where a monk called out the name Ilo. Surprisingly, the person who responded was Nome, Largo's son, who was alive but had lost his memory. Even more shocking, Ezio appeared at the temple, disguised as Nome's father. He approached Nome and led him away to an unknown destination. The film ended on a haunting note, leaving with lingering questions about Nome's fate and Ezio's next move. Moral lesson from the story: if you ignore your dad's advice and watch YouTube tutorials instead, you might accidentally start a kidnapping, a corporate conspiracy, and a snowmobile chase. Remember, family vacations are for bonding, not for starting international crime dramas.